Alrighty, good evening, YouTube viewers. We are here today, and we are going to actually look at WWE Battleground. We're going to talk about the matches. We're going to talk about the winners. We're going to talk about the details. We're going to talk about every little thing that we can in the time that we have today. So basically, what we're going to look at first is we're going to look at the pre-show matches, right? So you had Breezango defeating the Usos. This was actually a pretty interesting match, and that obviously it happened before all the main event matches happened. But the interesting aspect to it was that Breezango actually won. Very interesting because you have these new people coming on to SmackDown as tag teams, and you really think that the Usos would actually have a chance this go around because you know they're finally being taken off Raw. They're finally being taken off the pressure of dealing with Enzo and Cass now, the New Day, all these people that they've really struggled, mainly with the New Day, struggling to actually beat. And it kind of seems like the Usos have kind of fallen off and that they really haven't made a name really for themselves, right? So you think, all right, they're going to definitely beat Breezango. There's no way they're going to lose to Breezango. And then sure enough, within the match, you watch it, you see this actually happen, and you see the Usos go up for some nice high packed, flips and kicks and all that stuff, and it doesn't seem to work, which is very interesting because you have Breezango, this team of Tyler Breeze and Fanango, which that's interesting within itself if we're all going to be real about it. I do like Tyler Breeze. I like his character. He's the pretty boy, the brings down the phone with the webcam. Makes sense with makes sense with Fandango, kind of a flamboyant kind of guy. Really cool. They work really well together as partners. Again, though, I still found it interesting that they beat the Usos. I was kind of hoping that the Usos would win, and this would kind of propel their launch towards becoming, a dominant force within the SmackDown Tag Team division. But unfortunately, that was not the case, and Breezango defeats the Usos, and pretty easily too. It wasn't a really contested match, in my opinion. So now we go to the live. So now we're going to go to the actual live event, and it started out with Sasha Banks and Charlotte and Dana. Now this match, we all kind of knew how it was going to end, right? We knew that Sasha was going to win, and that this was going to set up the ultimate match for SummerSlam, that we know that it's going to be her versus Charlotte for the WWE Championship. And if we're all going to be real here, we know Sasha Banks is going to win the championship. She's been hunting for a long time. She's the next big thing, the legit boss, as they call her. So she's the next big thing. And so we know that, Charlotte's had her fun. She's had her reign. But we can see that the crowd is not a fan of her. We can see that, she's starting to kind of fall off a little bit. Not to say that the crowd should drive necessarily who wins and who loses, but the crowd does depict sometimes how the superstar is going to actually, do within the industry, I think also. So we already knew how that was going to happen. So we didn't care about that. We knew how the match was going to end. Big part was, who was she going to pick? Names have been thrown around like Lita, Trish Stratus, Bayley, Paige, Nia Jax, Bayley, Bayley, and Bayley. It was pretty clear. She got a huge standing ovation. Bayley comes out, big standing O. Everybody's freaking out. The roof is just blown off the place. Because everybody's excited for Bayley. Now the thing with the Bayley issue, though, is that she's currently in the hunt for the title on NXT. So I don't think that this is going to be her call up. I think that this was simply a let's see how she is portrayed. Let's see how she is done within the WWE community. Obviously, we all know that she was going to do well. She's Bayley. She's awesome. She's fun. She's a nice baby face for the actual company. And so we all knew that was going to happen. So I don't think it was really a matter of how the crowd was going to react to Bayley. I think it was to see how Bayley would do on that next level. And she did okay. She had her moments here and there. But really, besides that, I think they did that on purpose, though, because they didn't want it to be over. if she did so amazing, then the Sasha Banks and the Charlotte thing kind of, the hype wouldn't have been there, and it would have kind of killed the match. But I think she did well. She came out, they ended up winning, obviously. But I think the interesting part about it was Sasha Banks hits the bank statement, puts her in the bank statement, and Dana saves her the first time. So you're like, oh, great, here we go again. Nothing new. Charlotte's then going to hit the, natural selection. She hits the natural selection. Bayley runs back in the ring and ends up saving the match. And then come to find out later down the road, Sasha hits the bank statement again, but this time hits it in the middle of the ring to where literally Charlotte had no chance of getting out. And I think that was a big, that had to be how it had to happen. Because now we know, okay, this match is set up for SummerSlam. Sasha Banks has now beaten Charlotte and has now beat her in a submission, which I think is a big deal when you're talking about, potential matchups and things of that nature. So I thought overall it was a really good match. Again, it's kind of one of those matches that was easy to predict, just because you knew that it had to happen that way. But overall, great match, a lot of fun to watch. I'm loving that the Divas are starting to make a comeback. I love that. It's just in the early 2000s, and then you got Trish Stratus and Lita. They were used really as sex symbols, right? I mean, more than anything. And I think that was kind of the most frustrating part. I think, for viewers, it was like, oh man, here comes Trish Stratus in her bra and panties, which, okay, that's great, but you're not really helping the women wrestlers, the women division, by doing that. All you're doing is basically making them sound like they are basically just candy and that they could just be taken advantage of, right? So it's great. I think this is awesome. I think that this is definitely a big revolution. Stephanie McMahon, whether she's behind it or not, she's the one promoting it. And she's doing a really great job, and I don't really like Stephanie, so that's probably the last comment I'm going to say positive about her on this whole broadcast. All right, next match we had was the Wyatts versus the New Day. Now, this match was interesting here, right? Because you've got the New Day, who are now, as of Wednesday, your longest reigning champions of the modern era of the WWE, right? Most deservingly so. I love them. They're fun. They're positive. Their energy is great. They absolutely light the crowds up. So of course they're good champions. But this whole story of the Wyatts and the New Day and everything happening, this was really the last straw. This was everything. This was for the marbles, right? Because I mean, it's not for the tag team championship, but this is it, because the Wyatts are splitting up. Obviously, they some going to SmackDown, some going to Raw. You have the New Day, who are all going to Raw. So, and then, of course, Wyatt's the one going to SmackDown, which I think is going to be great for him. Excuse me. But I think it's going to be very interesting. This match was interesting in that, they've had the build-up for the last 3 weeks. They went to the compound. Xavier Woods has been, going through his whole weird thing where he's having to, basically he's being mesmerized into almost joining them, if you want to say it that way, or understanding how much of a threat these guys really are. So of course the match comes out. I predicted the Wyatts to win, and of course they were going to. I mean, they're splitting up. It would be perfect. It's the perfect way to split everybody up. Everything goes as planned. The Wyatts now can kind of bury the New Day, per se, if you want to call it that. Their prophecy, as you want to call it, follow me, has been fulfilled by beating the New Day, I guess. But anyway, so that one was a pretty easy match to call. But within the match, it was very interesting. Bray Wyatt, as we've seen with Xavier Woods, has tried to hypnotize him or freeze him, as you would say. And you could see it multiple times within the match that there were times where he would be frozen. And so Kofi Kingston would tag himself in and try to make something happen. But I mean, they were just getting annihilated, right? New Day was getting annihilated. And finally, Woods and Bray Wyatt are in the middle of the ring, and they are kind of facing off. And Xavier Woods finally snaps out of it and starts just going ham on everybody. Starts, knocking out Bray, knocks out Strowman, knocks out Harper, knocks them all out of the ring. And so we're finally like, oh my gosh, here comes New Day. They're finally doing it. Here we go. And it didn't work that way. But they turn around. Bray Wyatt's back in the ring, and he does this crab walk thing, which is kind of creepy. If you want my personal opinion, kind of creepy. And so he does this, and he does this little creepy deal, and it of course freaks out Xavier, and then he does Sister Abigail and bye, right? 3 count. So that's kind of how the match ended. It was kind of uneventful, really. I was just kind of like, oh well, here we go. It's just Hope Locksman to Sister Abigail, bam, So not that great, in my opinion, of a match. Kind of obvious, really. The big question was Big E took a huge fall. From my reports of what I'm seeing, it doesn't look like he was injured. But he does that run where he spears outside between the ropes and lands. Very high-risk maneuver. He's been told multiple times that he should probably steer away from it, yet he still does it. And he landed really awkwardly on his neck, to the point where I legitimately thought that he definitely would sustain maybe a concussion or something of that nature. But as of right now, I see no reports that say anything different. I'm assuming he's okay. Obviously, we'll see tonight on Monday Night Raw, which is happening here in about an hour and a half. Go team. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. A lot more to come on that a little bit later in the show. So next we had Rusev and Ryder, right? So this one really determined how the next one was going to go, right? Because if Rusev wins, then The Miz has to win, because you don't want to have the Intercontinental Championship and the United States on the same deal, because then what does that leave SmackDown? The WWE champion, assuming Dean Ambrose wins, right? So there's not really much there. So this match, it was kind of like you watch this one and then you could go do something when The Miz and the Young fight, because you already know The Miz is going to win. So that's when you can go and make dinner or grab another beer, whatever you got to do. So it starts out great. I like Rusev. I like him as a character. I love him as a heel. I think he's great. I think he makes a great champion. He's strong. He's that typical championship Phil. I love that he finally broke away from the League of Nations and whatever the hell that was, faction or whatever the hell you want to call it. Glad he broke away from that. I'm glad that he's starting his own reign and his own thing. And of course, his fiance, Lana. A-okay with that. Not mad about her given the entrances. But overall, he looked really good. It was a pretty dominant match. Ryder had a couple moments here and there. But I mean, overall, he puts him in the accolade once. He gets out of it. Everybody's excited. Everybody's hoping, because they know what the outcome is. If Ryder wins, they already know what the other one, they already know what's going to happen on the other one, right? So they're hoping, they're praying, and then Rusev puts him in the accolade again, and he goes to block it. And unfortunately, when you block an accolade, if you don't get your hands out, what do? They kick your legs out from under you and pull you back, and that's exactly what he did. And so he put Ryder in probably one of the most awkward, in my opinion, gut-wrenching moves, in my opinion. I thought it was terrible. It looked like it actually hurt, but seemed to be fine. Puts him in the accolade, he taps, and that's pretty much it, right? So now we know. I had Rusev winning this one. Pretty self-explanatory. They're going to use Rusev for a long time. I think that, like I said, I think he makes a great champion, and I'm not mad about it. I think he's good. I think he deserves it, and so this is, his reign as United States champion. I could possibly see them moving him up to maybe compete for the WWE championship or whatever. I could see that. I could definitely see. I know he's a heel, but I could see Rusev competing. I think he's good enough to go down that route. All right. So next you had the match of amazing. This is going to be match of the year, hands down. I mean, it was amazing. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. What a match. It was impressive. I do not like Kevin Owens. I think, though, that as a heel character, he is perfect, but I don't like him. I guess as an individual, I can't get over the fact that I don't know. I just can't get over the fact that he's a wrestler, I guess. But anyway, you have Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, you feel bad for the kid, right? Because he's been, they start out as this Bond child. They do the whole story. Everybody gets to feel good. And then, Sami Zayn wins the NXT belt, and Kevin Owens is like, oh my God, you're so amazing. You're my best friend ever. We're going to, roll. We're going to win the tag team champion. We're going to kick ass in the WWE. And then he turns on him, slams his head into the ground, and ends up winning the belt from him. And then this is how this whole feud starts, right? So they have an actual background. So they, they grew up, excuse me, as friends and really close friends, godfathers of their kids, things of that nature, right? So in the match, I mean, they went back and forth so many times. You had bodies dropping on aprons. You had people getting kicked in the face. You had Sami Zayn, who botched his, I don't know what it's called, but basically he was on the top rope, and as he was diving out of the ring, he botched it and almost looked like he hit his shoulder on the apron and about snapped his shoulder in half. From the reports that I'm seeing, he seems to be okay. Seems like everything's fine, but it did look pretty gruesome. I actually went back this morning and watched it, and it was pretty gross. So, not a fan of that. But overall, I didn't think it was bad. It was a great match. But I think the most interesting part, I think, of the whole match was Sami Zayn. I don't know if he got out of character or if it was part of his character. If it was part of his character, holy crap. Like, this guy can sell a match. Like, they're going to do a lot with Sami Zayn if this was his actual character, because it was impressive. He's holding him in the turnbuckle. Kevin Owens' face is literally falling down on his chest. And he just kind of has a moment. And he just holds him there for a second. And just based off his facial expressions, you could see that there was actual caring and there was actual, like, love, I guess, for the guy. And then the moment ends, of course, and he does his special, kicks him into the hell of a, and knocks him out, and 1, 2, 3 pin, Sammy wins, right? But that moment was so impressive. And I don't know if it was his character or if it was actually him taking that moment to really kind of soak in how awesome this was, right? So great match, loved it. Zayn wins, defeats Owens, but I don't think this feud is over. I think they're definitely, it was supposed to be the last straw, but then of course they both got drafted to Raw, right? So I think that they'll kill the story for a little bit, kind of just let it ride out, and then I think maybe something at SummerSlam could happen, or maybe the next pay-per-view. But I think they'll give this one a break for a couple weeks, just because that was kind of your monumental moment, right? And so that's done there. So the next one we had, now this match, this is the only match I got wrong when I predicted, and that was Natalya versus Becky. Again, another diva match, super excited, love to see the girls actually compete, and not be used as sex symbols. But this one really shocked me. I feel bad for Becky. She can't win. She can't win. Everybody in the mom in the locker room has literally left her. Everybody turns on her. I don't know why, because Becky's probably one of the most loyal, trusting people that you could probably have on your team. And she keeps getting screwed, and that's unfortunate. But I really thought that this, her coming over to SmackDown, and her basically, from what I discovered, I feel like she was going to be the face of SmackDown for the females, right? It kind of made sense. Why wouldn't she be? But she loses to Natalya, and I think that this is just, I don't know why they did this. This will be interesting to see how SmackDown goes on Tuesday, because I really don't understand why Natalya won this match. I feel like Becky really needed this win to propel her start on the SmackDown as the top diva. But obviously that's not the case, and Natalya wins. But she doesn't go down easy. Becky puts up a really good fight. She gets out of 2 sharpshooters, which is crazy within itself. And then on the very last one, Natalya really bends it pretty good and gets her locked up in the middle of the ring, and she can't move, so she does unfortunately have to tap. But again, I'm shocked. I really didn't think that Natalya would win this one. I really thought that they were going to use this as Becky's overarching guide to Stardom and SmackDown. So we'll see what happens. We'll see as Tuesday rolls around, kind of get a better picture of what's going to happen. So next we have The Miz defeats Young, kind of, sort of, maybe, who knows. Bizarre match. But we knew that Young was going to lose because Rusev already won. So we already kind of put that together. Unless WWE really wanted to do that and then have a cruiserweight there too, it wouldn't have made sense, right? So we knew he was going to lose. Starts out really strong, looks really good. I actually started considering, holy crap, Darren might actually win this, and they'll figure out the title later, kind of thing, I guess, And then Miz's wife, Maurice, smacks Darren Young's manager. I honestly can't think of his name right now, but smacks him, and that sets him off, right? He goes ham. Like, he starts taking off his shirt. Well, he tried to take off his shirt. He didn't get his shirt all the way off. I don't know if that was a wardrobe malfunction or what, if he was supposed to take it all the way off or what, and he just couldn't get there. But anyway, Maurice slaps him, and so that sets him off. He starts getting in the face. So here's where it starts getting weird. So Miz gets out of the ring and confronts and is going to leave the match and get counted out, retain his belt. He didn't want to have anything to do with Darren. So then the Miz comes out, starts pushing Darren's manager, and then next thing you know, here's what gets weird. Next thing you know, Darren comes out of the ring. Now remember, there's no countouts because of they're both out of the ring, bada. And there's no DQs, obviously. It's a title match, whatever. Well, Darren starts going ham. I don't know, it just set him off. He started getting pissed, went all over the Miz, puts him in the chicken bone wing thing, which I don't even know why you would call your special the chicken bone wing, but he does. And puts him in it and slams him to the ground and basically is just locking that son of a gun in. Like, he just was not going to let go. So the ref calls for the bell. And then that's it. Darren Young walks off, looking at his hands, which I'm meaning that he didn't mean to do it. He doesn't know why he snapped and started basically, breaking Miz's whole arm, which I would have been fine with. I don't like Miz, so snap his arm. That's fine. I don't care. And it was really weird, and that was it. There was no pinfall. There was no really DQ because no one could have gotten disqualified, really. So it was really weird. It was a weird ending. So then I looked it up on, the network, and they said that it was basically a double disqualification, which I don't know. It'll probably be explained more on SmackDown on Tuesday, but I don't know. That was pretty weird. Not very fun. Not very eventful, and quite frankly, that pretty depressing more than anything. So yeah, Miz defeats Darren Young in the end. Whatever, I guess. All right. So next you have John Cena, Enzo, Cass, and the Club. Right. We already knew how this was going to happen. We were hoping that AJ Styles and the Club would win their final debut and everything would be great, but that just wasn't the case. So the match, I'll explain the match because the match is not the best part, but I will explain the match first. So Enzo, Cass, and all of them, they're doing their thing. Enzo goes ham, starts beating all over the Club. But the interesting part is, and I guess this is the frustrating part, is John Cena pins AJ Styles, right? Frustrating, because I know they're going to feud on SmackDown, but it's like John Cena wins all the time. Like, all the time. If he gets pinned, it's because he got screwed by someone or someone came out and distracted him or whatever. He's never actually lost, to my knowledge. I mean, maybe a couple here in times, but lately he has not lost, like, legitimately. It's just like he just can't lose. fairly at least. So John Cena pins AJ Styles, which is stupid because now there's going to be a feud all over SmackDown. I would have liked to see AJ Styles pin John Cena here just so that one person could truly beat him in a match fairly across the board. But it didn't happen. John Cena wins. But that's not the best part. I actually walked away from the match. So that's the reason why I don't know a lot of detail about it. But John Cena comes out, everybody's happy. Then Enzo goes ham all over the mic, starts making fun of AJ Styles, calls him a soccer mom haircut, says a lot of innuendos, one of them being, don't look at someone while they're eating a banana. Like, that's funny because we all know why that's funny, right? I don't need to explain that. So it's interesting. So this guy is amazing on the mic. He gets the crowd going. Everybody's like pumped. I could see Enzo and Cass being the tag team champions for a while because New Day, obviously, they've set the record now. So now they're going to have to lose because that's how it works. So crazy moment in that time. It was unbelievable. He talked a lot, and it was awesome. Cass had his moments here and there, and I think they're working on Cass. I think Cass had a really good chance whenever, Enzo was dealing with the, coming back from the injury, concussion, all that stuff, to have a lot more mic time. But I mean, he's doing better. I think that they're going to definitely, help get him going again, at some point. But I think right now Enzo just kills it on the mic. Everybody loves him. He gets the crowd going. Like I said, I could easily see them being, tag team champions, no doubt. Easy pick. Could this happen as early as SummerSlam? That's going to be the big question. If they're going to actually do it that soon, I wouldn't. They didn't have a title match this pay-per-view, so it wouldn't be surprising if the tag team champions are up and, Enzo and Cass get the opportunity. I don't know if they would win their very first title match on the WWE. I would love to see it, but I don't know if that would happen. I think that they would have to earn it a little bit. But I do think that they're definitely in the running, and they're one of the best on the rosters for that, just because of, they're just so much fun. They get the crowd going, and that's very important, I think. So there's that match. Overall, not too eventful. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the Randy Orton deal with Jericho because I thought it was misplaced. I didn't like that. You go from, I don't know. It's just a lot of time to just kind of down. I didn't think it was very good. In fact, I don't even think you should have a highlight reel. F that, dude. Put that on have him return on, Raw or something, I guess, But I didn't think that it was needed to be there. It was 30 minutes of just basically bickering back and forth. And things of that nature. And that was really about it. It really wasn't much of anything else, which was kind of uneventful and pretty frustrating, to be honest with you. Randy took a couple stabs at Brock Lesnar saying that, he doesn't need to kick anybody's ass, with no help needed, or anything like that. So he poked a little bit of fun at the bear, Brock Lesnar, and that'll help, obviously, getting the story started for them. But I don't know where Randy Orton is actually drafted. I don't know if he did get drafted, so I don't know if he's on Raw or SmackDown, so that'll be interesting to see. Brock, of course, is a part-time wrestler, so don't see him making any great appearances, I wouldn't think, until SummerSlam, if he's even able to. But it'll be interesting. Paul Heyman's contract's up. Obviously, they're probably going to redo it so that he could still be the voice of Brock Lesnar because, as we all know, Brock doesn't speak because Brock is awkward on the mic and has admitted to that, being awkward on the mic and not really having much connection to the people and things of that nature. But, at the end of the day, Randy Orton does what he always does, which is he's got this. He says, I'm going to take people to Viperville. That's kind of his thing now, right? Instead of Suplex City, it's called Viperville when he RKOs them. So, of course, he RKOs Jericho, and bam, everybody's happy and everybody's freaking out. But I think I love this type of Randy Orton. He literally doesn't care. He doesn't care what people think. He doesn't care what people say about him. He's doing him. And I love that about him. He's going to be the babyface of the company. I wish they would turn him heel, because a heel Orton would be awesome. Like an actual legit heel Orton now would be legit. But they're not going to. They're going to make him the babyface, and that's fine. I think it'll still go over really well. He'll RKO people. The crowd will go wild, and it'll be great. So we'll see in the month to come how much more they're going to actually get this actually thing going. So finally, the last match: Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. So before the match comes out, of course, all the general managers come out and they sit in their seats just like before to congratulate who's ever going to win. And the match, sadly, was just, for a triple threat Shield match, you would think it would have been a lot better. I mean, it was good. It was good, but it was not great. I mean, you saw a couple moments where, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins kind of teamed up and slammed Roman Reigns, through the announce table, the Spanish announce table. Okay, that's great. It had the moment. And then, of course, Seth ruins it by taking a chair to both of them in the back, just like he did before. So besides that, though, the match was kind of just, Roman Reigns did a lot of work. He, speared a bunch of people and, Superman punched like everybody and their mom, which I guess a punch from Roman Reigns with Superman powers, I guess, hurts a lot. I don't know. It knocks you out, apparently. But anyway, he lands a spear. He lands the spear on Seth Rollins, and you're like, at that moment, you're like, shit, he's going to win. Because, he had already killed Seth Rollins before that. Lands the spear. Seth Rollins is gone to everything. Like, just gone. And then Dean comes into the ring, and as Roman Reigns is pinning Seth, he jumps into the ring, grabs him, dirty deeds him, and gets the 3 count on Roman. And of course, everybody goes crazy. I picked Dean not because I thought that Dean would actually win, but because I love Dean. And I think he's a great champion. I think he's awesome. I think he's different and he's fun. He's kind of a lunatic, but he's crazy. And I love that about him. And so I picked him just because of that. But really, I did think Seth Rollins was going to win, and they were going to bring the championship to Raw. What this probably means now is that either Dean is going to have to split, between the shows. I don't see that happening. I think what's going to happen is they're going to bring back the World Heavyweight Champion. Because if you've noticed, they don't call the WWE Championship the WWE World Heavyweight Championship anymore. The past couple weeks, it's literally just been called the WWE Championship. So I think that they're about to make the change, and that's going to be pretty interesting, nonetheless. So all of that to say that I think the match was decent. It was okay. Dean wins, and I think the biggest kicker out of all of it, though, is Seth was never pinned. So Seth actually never lost to Dean, and I think that is going to be, I would have said key, but since they're splitting brands, I think that it's not really going to matter that much. I think if anything, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins are now going to feud. They're probably going to, we'll find out tonight on Raw, but they're probably going to introduce the World Heavyweight Championship again, probably change it up a little bit so maybe it looks a little bit different than the actual previous belt, and we'll have a tournament, and somehow Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns will be the 2 people at SummerSlam fighting for the belt. Whoever wins gets it. Seth Rollins will win and, be the face of Raw like he was supposed to be, last night, right? Because we all thought he was going to win. But anyway, Reigns was hated. He was booed, obviously, for obvious reasons. Was completely booed. And so, like I said, it was an okay match. It wasn't the Shield triple threat that I thought it was going to be a lot more intense. But then again, it felt like they had to speed the match up. And I think a lot of that was because of this stupid Jericho highlight reel, because the show ended like 15 minutes after, right? Now, I know some of the pay-per-views do end up going over, but most of the time they go over because the matches last longer and they're more intense. But this one was because Jericho's highlight reel took 40 bajillion hours. And I think that, if anything, I think the match of the triple threat, I personally think it got sped up. I think if you watch it and you see it and you're like, holy crap, everything happens really quick. And not that that's a bad thing, but you kind of want some variety within the match, right? You want to see Roman take over the match for a little while. You want to see Seth take over the match for a little while. You want to see Dean take over the match for a little while. Maybe back to Roman's, maybe back to Rollins, and then bam, Dean wins, right? Not how it happened, really. I mean, Roman pretty much carried this match. Seth had his moments where, he did a couple pedigrees, and then of course Dean helped him, but Dean really didn't have a single moment where he took over, except for at the very end when he dirty deed Roman Reigns and kept the title. But besides that, it wasn't really a backwards and forwards kind of match, really. It was Roman come in, went ham because he had to, and then Seth came in, went ham, had to, and then out of nowhere, Dean comes out, does dirty deeds, and wins the championship. So it just wasn't as eventful as I thought. I think a lot of that probably was because it had to be sped up due to the Jericho highlight reel, which was stupid within itself. But overall, that is Battleground. I thought it was good. I wouldn't say definitely was not one of the best pay-per-views I've seen ever. But I think in recent times, it was pretty good. Definitely Zayn and Owens' best match ever within that pay-per-view. I think that they're definitely going to be contenders for the best match of the year, and I think truly they're going to win. It was an amazing match, a very heartfelt match. You could feel the emotion as opposed to just them knocking the shit out of each other. You could really feel that emotion, and I think that was awesome in general. But overall, like I said, I'd probably give it, a B. I wouldn't give it an A, but I would say definitely a B. You go down the list of matches. They were all very good. It was a very good card nonetheless. I will be interested to see how this brand split happens now. And what I'll be doing from now on is I will be doing all reviews for the pay-per-views, bringing people in possibly to help me with the podcast, because I know hearing only my voice is probably pretty boring, right? So you want some variety. So we'll bring some people in and we'll have a good time. I might try to do a video podcast. I'm not really too much of a fan because the video quality is not really there. And right now, just because of where I'm at, I'd prefer to just do audio. But if you really guys want to really see a video podcast, let me know. I'm more than willing to do it. It doesn't, really put any extra time for me. Overall, I think it would go over pretty well, maybe. So just let me know. But anyway, so we're gonna do pay-per-view reviews, but I'm also gonna do Monday night reviews and Tuesday night reviews of SmackDown and Raw. Now those will probably only be like maybe 20-30 minutes, but as opposed to this one being a lot longer, right? Because this one had a lot more action. So let me know, like, subscribe. I'll put all my links in there for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the good stuff. And leave comments. Let me know how you guys thought it was, what I could do to improve. Please don't bash me. I know I'm not perfect. I haven't been doing this for very long. In fact, this is like only my first actual live broadcast. So please don't hate, give me encouragement, give me areas of improvement that I could work on. And, I'll try to do that throughout the thing. So thank you. Thank you for the show. It was a blast. And we will talk to you guys probably Tuesday afternoon for Monday night review. And then probably a Wednesday afternoon for a Tuesday SmackDown review. So, all right, until then, have a great day.